friend, it's Pat Sloan here, and it is Tackle It Tuesday. So first off, for Tackle It Tuesday, this is the list I was working from, and tick, 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 cross, 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 they're all done. This was super effective for me. I am a digital gal. I like to write everything digital, but there are times where I find for my brain, it is much better for me to do this kind of a list and leave it sit where I'm working. I actually had it pinned to the design wall for a little while, and I love doing that. So I am going to continue the tradition started last time that's of that list. So this week's list is right here. I just grabbed, that was a scrap paper that came like in a product. That was the back of it. I used the backs. Use them up. So donuts, the donut paper. So what I have on here, we're going to talk about the laundry basket liner. I'm going to do one binding. I only have 4 bindings sitting there waiting. I have 5 that are going to the long armor that I'm going to show you, but I have 4 that are older. So I'm going to do one of the older ones, and it's a smaller one. I'm going to cut 100, some of the 100 blocks, a Tula Pink book that I'm rebooting. And I'm going to cut some things for the mini muffin using the leftovers from the March block. So, and then I have the leprechaun cross stitch. So he is coming, this little chubby fella is coming along quite nicely. I'm doing the outer sprinkles as I go because that works for my brain. That way I don't have to go back at the end and do all those little single cross stitches, which I really don't care for. I love the look, but I don't like making them and tying that many knots and blah, blah, blah. If you have tips, leave them in the comments. So I have, what is that? That's almost half of the leprechaun's third section of the rainbow. So super, super cute. And I will finish that this month. So this will be for this month. Okay, let's talk about the laundry basket liner. And for those of you who may have forgotten what it is or what I'm talking about, let me show you. You remember this rolling basket. Now these were kind of all the rage. Quilt shops actually sold them. They were sold online all over the place for quite a few years. I think Moda in their home goods had these manufactured and were bringing them in. So I got one, and Thimble Anna did a pattern on doing this, sleeve to put inside, or liner, that's the right word, liner to put inside, which works really, really well because she did it for this size basket. Oh, that's the Duchess's case, which is super smelly. It's very, very stinky when you open it, so I just leave it in here. Since the Duchess doesn't go back in there, I don't want the pretty girl getting stinky. Okay, so I want to change this out because I want to use some black and white accents in this room. And so I decided this would be good as a black and white checkerboard, similar to what I have on the dining room table. And I want to do then some extra pillows. And so, and I also, when I was clearing out the last group of quilts, this thing got emptied. And so right now it doesn't have anything in it except this tote bag I'd used for the Splendid Sampler 1 when we were taking it to people to use at shows and stuff. We carried it in here and it had the label so people knew what it was. Anyway, digressing. So let's go back and I'll show you what I got to work with. I'll show you the dining room tablecloth here in a sec too. Here's the tablecloth. And it has just been so good to have that as a base, because then whatever I put on the top, this is kind of the underlying accent color. And then recently I had gone ahead and put, like, this is a little bit smaller check, which I like for over here, just so that, again, I have a base that's one color and it brings it together. And I would like to do a couple of pillows as well, but that's what I'm thinking of. So this I already had and had ordered. So let me just show you. Let's just take a look at what I'm going to do. So now I have that basket out there, and this is what I purchased. It is a tablecloth, just like what I showed you on the dining room table, although that one, whoops, that's a round one. And what I wanted was as big as big a rectangle as I could get. So I ordered that, and I'll link you in the description box below and the first pinned comment to what I purchased. I'll link you to the round one as well if it's still available. I mean, there's others, but yeah. So this is it. I have tons of fabric, tons. Now it's all, it's like double-sided. It does have already a nice edge on it, but because I'm going to need to, hem the edge again, which is no big deal. But I actually don't need to make it double-sided. I can just use this one piece versus what the original one is, because I didn't want to see the back side of the fabric folded out, because I had an alternate, a different fabric, a companion fabric, one that looked nice to fold over the edge. Instead, for this, it'll be the same fabric. I'm not going to do a secondary color. I'm going to keep it very simple, and I'm going to make this week. I'll show you when it's done. I'm very excited about that. I bought this over 2 months ago, in January sometime. I thought I'm going to do that. And now I just got up this morning and thought, you know what? I'm putting that on the list today because I would like to have that done. So last weekend was gardening day, a couple of the things. Gardening day, which is a little too early here. We're still getting like below, freezing, below 32 degrees at night. So no gardening yet. But it was gardening day, and it was Scrabble day. I'm not a Scrabble player. I don't do word games like that. But if you are, leave a comment. If you've ever made a Scrabble related quilt, oh my gosh, share that. That would be so fun. So fun. Hey, if you got a gardening quilt, share that as well. I think that would be super fun too. Let's talk about the bindings that were on my list. Yes, the bindings. I've got a whole stack. Okay, so I did a little tip because a lot of you, I do single binding, and so I'm just going to show you that. Sometimes you just have to power make your binding. 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I've got them all sewn together, and like I've said many times, I do single binding, so I will just be folding under 1/4 inch, just eyeballing it like that, and that is how I do the binding. And I can get these made, and then I am going to put them on the fun binding wraps that I've gotten over the years. You can still get, I think, all of these. I'll link you to the page of all of the wraps. So they're kind of fun. They keep them tidy, and then I will put them in the basket, which I then have to remember to look in the basket. But I'm getting better at that. I'm getting better at going, yes, I think I made binding. I will look in the basket. This is London Lemon Chiffon and the Halloween. So okay, and I have to get the last bunch of blocks for that. Here's what it looks like folded over. So you see, just like that, just folding it as I go along, and whee, there we go. And I got that much more to do. All 3 binders, binding holders, there we go. This is the smallest footprint, I call it, because it'll stack the smallest. This is kind of cool. You could probably do a second round like here if you wanted to put 2 different bindings on there. And then these are the chunky. This is a chunky one. It's pretty big, but very fun. These were all sent to me by the Fat Quarter Shop. This probably is my favorite because it also glitters. This is the basket of bindings. These are extras. These are extras from, I cut too much, and I thought I'm still going to keep them because I might still someday do like a scrappy red binding or scrappy blue. There's some green in there. These are ones that I haven't actually made the binding, but they're for quilts on the shelf that I showed you the tops. I think, or they might be the ones that I have binding, whatever. Either way, they're ones that for the future. This is the infamous binding basket, which actually works really good when I remember to look in it. And it lives down here in my koala cabinet on that shelf. So I will go ahead and put it back now. Next up is to finish the lemon chiffon top and then to make the backing for this guy. First on binding is, and I should have moved this prior, but I didn't think of it. So this is the quilt that's on my shelf that's older. They are some blocks. They're like traditional blocks from the Farmer's Wife book. And does it have a top? Does it have a top? Yes. So here's the top. I adored making this. It was so much fun. This, I did it with a bunch of designer friends. We all kind of did this in a little, frenzy of time when the book came out. We just thought it would be fun. And I used this Heather Ross fabric with the mermaids. You can see part of the mermaids there. But it was a whole line called Modesto, I don't know what it was, but then they actually re-released it because people loved it so much. My backing is super funky and I love it as well. Look at that. Look at that. So I forget what the binding is. I have to look. I have it in that basket. It's in the basket. So I will do that. All right, my other quilts that are going there. All of these are going to the long armor. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. I asked my friend only long arms, business-wise for me. She's retired from doing it for other people. She does charity work for the guild, for her guild, but she just does mine. This piece here where we used that beautiful panel that was, it's a Benartex line, and I had the designer on, and this is a little bit of flange in it. So she said no problem, she can do that. It is going to go to a family member who had a little baby girl recently, and the baby girl's name is Violet. So I think that will be just perfect. Here is the wide back for lemon chiffon. So let me just open it part of the way. So there we go, another Benartex fabric, and it comes in several other colors. So if you love the butterfly, look at that. See, I love that it has so many colors. I decided I really didn't want those other colors for the backing of lemon chiffon. I wanted it to keep it lemon, and this is such a perfect lemon color. It just is perfect. Okay, so I have lemon chiffon. I had these all folded nice to go to my friend. Then the backing for the Halloween is just this. Nothing extra. That worked out. So got them kind of folded. Also be sure that you are marking the tops of your quilts. There is the London Town ready to go, and I have marked the top, although it's pretty obvious on some of them, but it still helps out my friend and any long armor you send it to. And then the March, which you've already seen. The backing. And Amy Smart left me a comment on my channel here at YouTube for when I was showing that. So sweet of her. She designed that. I think that one was actually designed with her sister. So it's very, very cute. Let me pull my chair back. And now the sashing for Grandma's Kitchen. I went through looking at colors and doing a few, showing you how I was walking through it. That top 3 rows are all sewn together, and the bottom units are the 3 blocks and just 1 sashing. But let's take a look at the color thoughts on getting those sashings for the 3 top rows. These are coming along. I'm liking most of them. Working on this right now, and with the coming through the camera view, even before the camera view, I could tell that the ginghams were just too strong. They just come forward too much visibly. So what I need is another print that's exactly the same color as those, and I'll just use 2 prints in there. I could use the same one because I have enough of that. I don't have a lot of this purple gingham, but I do have a bit more, and I think it can be for one of the checkerboards down here, which are not so much. This is kind of a bigger checkerboard section, and then I've got checkerboards up there. So this is looking good. I am going to take that, and there's a little strip here. I'm going to put that horizontal on there. See how that looks. Nice. That is much, much better. There are 2 different fabrics, and I alternated them, but I might try doing a different alteration. This is like one fabric, two fabric, one, two, one, two. And then the first one's again down here. I'm going to try to mix them up a second. Okay, with two fabrics, you don't actually mix them up. I would need more fabrics than that. But I can get a line, which is kind of nice. It's got that a little bit structure. So I'm going to leave that sit there. I'm not decided what I will do. And I have enough of this fabric here to do the backgrounds of, I might switch it out. That I just had the white already cut, so I think I'm going to switch those. Sorry if my camera was dipping. I was looking actually over top of it to see what I was talking about. Okay. I think I have another. Do I have another strip? No. This is the bottom row. Oh, I have. If I want to cut one here, right there, I can cut one there, and then I can sew those. You know, there'll be 4 units, 2 blocks, 2 strips. And I could do another one on the side, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait and see what fabrics I use for the next blocks before I do any more. This is so cool. I'm loving it. All right, I've done this checkerboard here, and these are not done. This has still got that, you know, and I think I'm going to leave that. Now an option would be here to just put a 2.5 inch strip. What is this, a 10-inch finish, so 2.5 by 10.5. If you didn't want checkerboard there, which I'm a little bit thinking about doing that, just a little bit. Maybe even shifting that down and putting the strip above, because there's kind of like strip down there. I don't know, thinking about that. And I repeated this from here, and I'll repeat it in one of the, there's 2 more rows after, so I'll repeat it one of the rows down there. So what I want to do now is sew this, decide on that, and then I can put all 3 rows together. Well, that has to be sewn right there, but then I can put all 3 rows together. I'm not sure I will sew any sashing on this until I do what's coming up. Okay, let's go. I have decided I'm going to replace those squares under the 10.5 inch block, and I'm going to use the nesting dolls, but I don't want to just be super frugal and just go, okay, I'm just going to cut it off the bottom, you know, like do that, cut it off the bottom, because here I've, you know, chopping her face. I mean, you're just going to get like that because you got the seam allowance, right? It's like it chops off most of her head. This one's like far on the side, and this one's got her bottom chopped off too. All right, so what can you do? You can get all of this lady in, all of that doll in. This one's always going to be on the edge, and this one we see even less of her. Or I can shift up a bit more. All right, so now what I have in the 10.5 is she's going to mostly be in there. There's going to be the 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then this one will be not all, but you'll get the top half of her. And then all of this one. So you have to make decisions because they're not close enough for 10.5 unless you do. Can any of them? Let's see. Here's a 2.5 inch strip. See, I could get these 2. Sorry, these 2. I could get these 2. But I don't think I want to cut that far up into it. So I'm going to come down here and probably get all of her. Maybe these 2, most of these 2 in. See how that goes. There you go. I like it. I like it. I love it. Totally love it. All of one, good part of her face, and of course all the small, good part of her face over here as well, and a lot of the smaller ones. Whoops. Yeah, so that turned out. And I love the color. I really wanted this light lavenders, so much of the light lavenders with just a few pops of the dark, because I've got a few pops of dark things like the reds and that deep orange and the darker purples and the darker teals, you know, so there's a few pops, but a lot of the other stuff is kind of medium tone. So I'm loving this, loving it. I'm really happy with the lavender. The lavender is not overpowering for me. I think it just adds a little bit of consistency to pull all the colors together. The last thing I'm going to start cutting from the list will be these from the mini muffin pattern. And they are these strips and things that I had left from the March block. One tip I want to show you is that I want my muffin pieces, these squares, I want those squares to be random. I don't want them to be really, like uniform. You could, but I don't want to. So if originally I was going to sew all 3 strips together, but then I realized if I do that and cut them, that means these 3, wherever I place them, are going to be not be random. I'm going to see, particularly since this one is fairly dark. So I bagged that idea. So I will have to go through now and cut 2.5-inch squares, which I think is what it is, for everything that I need. So I'll figure out how many I need. I will cut them and work on that. Probably on Thursday. I don't think I'll do it tomorrow for Wednesday video, but probably on Thursday's video. Definitely, if I don't do it tomorrow, it'll be Thursday. Will be the 100 blocks, because I want to put mine on the wall. I have yet to put them on the wall. I've just been making them. So I want to put them on the wall. I want to determine exactly how many I need for the version I'm going to make, because I'm going to make the version just a little bit shorter, not going to be as long, so I need a few less blocks. So it'll be somewhere 60-something blocks. And then I'm going to figure out how many to do, like a week, something like that, so I can sort of pace myself and see where I am with that, so I don't get super behind and feel like, oh my gosh, it's October and I still have half of them to make or something like that. I want to keep on track. So I'll write it down. All right, my friend, I am very excited about this. So hopefully I will have this to show you. I will have it to show you Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday's tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Okay. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone for a Tackle It Tuesday. Tell me about your projects. I'll see you online.